Hello. Thank you all for taking a few moments to watch the update from the board meeting that happened last night on October 26th. The board meeting went from 6:30 to 10 o'clock. And so in order to allow you to save a little bit of time, we'll do a shortened version of last night's presentation so that you can get the information you need in about 15 minutes or so. So I wanted to start off by saying that we are almost at the end of quarter one. And I don't think any of us ever imagined that this is where we'd be at the end of quarter one. And I know that there have been a lot of frustrations and challenges, and certainly a lot of stress regarding where we find ourselves at this moment. So, to make sure that everybody's really clear regarding what I'll speak about this during this video, the first portion will be on providing supports in order to create an equitable environment, the timing and our decision making related to that. I want to give you an update on what's actually happening with our phased restart. And then finally, action steps related to new surveys, winter sports, and a medical review committee. So as you know, our goal is to have all our students back in school as soon as it is time to do so with the plans that we've put forward. So the first critical part is to know that there are support services in place for your students that include wellness checks and counseling, and that's both in person and virtual. Students in special education, per their IEP team, are receiving services on site. We have internet service available for students who need regular access to the internet. We have mentoring and tutoring programs, and both the internet and the mentoring programs are done in partnership with Friends of Oregon School District. We also have in-person labs happening at the high school for classes such as auto or PC system servicing. Those labs allow students to access instruction in a real life environment that's very difficult to replicate in the virtual world. And we also have food service as a support service for our families. We are approaching 1,000 meals for breakfast and 1,000 meals for lunch served daily. So we're really happy we're able to provide that to our families. Our support hubs offer reliable internet access, quiet environment, mental health supports. Students are often invited in for engagement strategies and to get some tutoring and online learning strategies. So the support hubs are held at OHS, OMS, and RCI 4 days a week in the AM and the PM, and at Forest Edge 2 days a week starting in November. We also have mentoring happening on site, and it's important to note that at this point, the support hubs are accessed via invitation from the principal, as there are systems in place at school to identify the students who are most in need. However, that never prevents you from reaching out and talking to your school principal about what it is that your students need. So the next portion of the presentation will really be about frequently asked questions. And I'll get through them as quickly as possible, but there really is quite a bit of information. First of all, it's often asked, how does Dane County compare to the rest of the state? And for those of you who are familiar with the DHS activity tracker, you'll see that the graphic on the screen comes from that source. And you'll also see that the vast majority of counties in Wisconsin are in the very high case activity level. And the case activity level is a combination of the burden rate and the trajectory. So you can see that Dane County in particular has a very high burden rate and a growing trajectory related to cases. And that's information from 10/7 to 10/20. It's often asked, what is the impact of the UW? If you take a look at the graph that's on the screen, you'll see the red line indicates the growth in mid-September of cases coming from the UW, and then the decline. Because by mid-September, the UW alone had a 14-day average of 138 cases. However, as you can see, they've significantly declined to the point where they are only 9% of the total cases in Dane County. And the rest of the cases from other parts of the county have increased. Which really gets to the next question, and that is, how do cases in Madison compare to suburbs? Because people frequently ask the question, why do we have the same metrics as the rest of the county when we are so different? Well, unfortunately, this is the first week that it has flipped. The majority of cases are now outside of Madison, 58% of Dane County cases. And you can see from the chart on the screen that they're coming from all of the cities, towns, and villages. And for our school district, we are represented in the Fitchburg total, the Oregon total, and in the bottom category called all others, because we have so many municipalities within the boundaries of our school district. So the next really frequently asked question is, how do public health metrics compare to metrics used in other parts of the country? Because it's often thought that public health is more strict or more conservative than other thresholds that have been established by other organizations. Well, the Minnesota Stay Safe Plan and the guidelines coming from the Harvard School of Public Health, both of those informed the plan that was created by public health. And the CDC, a risk assessment charts, they came out after public health, but we are in Dane County very much in alignment with them. So what first needs to happen is we need to have a calculation of the thresholds in each of those three plans adjusted to Dane County population. So public health did all of this calculation for me and sent it back in the 5-level colorful charts you see on the bottom of the screen. After public health sent it to me, I also consulted with one of our high school math teachers just to make sure I had a second opinion to ensure everything on here was correct, lined up, and made sense. So you can see with our current 14-day average of 167, for the Minnesota Stay Safe plan, we would be in their high category. And for Harvard, they actually only have 4 categories. So 167 puts us in their highest category. So if you take a look at the Harvard plan, that actually would put us in the red. For CDC, you can see we're in their critical risk category because it's anything greater than 78 cases on a 14-day average for a population the size of Dane County. If you take a look then at the thresholds for K2, 3, 5, and 612 set by public health, and you put them into the charts below, you'll see that in the Minnesota plan, our 612 threshold is in the low risk category, and the other two are in the medium risk. In the Harvard model, our 3, 5, and 612, and even our K2s all fall into the medium risk category. And in the CDC, we fall, our 612 falls in the medium risk, in the medium high, and the other two grade bands fall into the high risk category. So overall, public health metrics are very much in alignment with other models used around the United States, and really aren't asking for even necessarily, other than the Minnesota model, a low risk. They're asking for medium or medium to high risk before opening up any of the grade bands for in-person instruction. Now that really begs the question, and this is one that's frequently asked too, when you see 167 as a 14-day average, why can K2 be in person? Well, this is a statement that Public Health has in their website, and that's basically right now, with only K2s being open, and I think there's 6 school districts or so that have K2s open right now. With only K2s open, plus a handful of private schools, they're not seeing any strong connections to the transmission in the in-school environments. Consequently, right now, they're still supportive of allowing K2 to be in person. So public health really has a lot of influence on what's happening to all of us lately. So it's a good thing to know who exactly is on their board. And if you take a look at this slide, you'll see that the people who comprise the Board of Public Health come from a variety of medical specialties, including psychiatry. A really big question people ask frequently is, does public health look at emerging information and science? We know that what we know about COVID-19 is constantly evolving. Consequently, we would expect anybody who was, any organization that makes decisions related to public health would be on top of the new information. And indeed, according to the statement that they have put out, they absolutely are. That they are continuously re-examining all of the new information that's coming in and making sense of it according to our local data. So, for some information regarding our reopening plan status, this is a graphic that we have on our website, and you'll see that starting September 8th, we have already moved through several phases related to our reopening our schools. Our next phase is for the 3-5 half days, the 6th grade half days, and the 7-12 half days. And you'll also notice that Oregon Online has been consistent throughout first semester, and the people who chose Oregon Online have chosen it for all of first semester. We also want to point out that we now have a dashboard that is on our website, and you can see the small graphic to the bottom. If you open up our homepage, you'll see a little green section. If you click on that, one of the first things you'll see is the dashboard. And we update that every Friday morning to include the data that is most recent at that point. And you can see from the screen in front of you exactly what is included on the dashboard. There are many people who really would like us to continue sending out letters to the entire district every time there is a positive case. However, we're hoping that the dashboard will help keep people informed. And in addition, any letters that are sent out to the schools regarding a positive case are also on the website. So if you have students at Forest Edge, but you're very interested in what's happening in the other elementary schools, you are always able to access all of the letters that are sent out to all of the schools by going to our school district homepage and clicking on the green button. So what are our action steps? Well, the next step is to survey our students and our staff in the week of November 2nd. For our students, we want to really understand their experience in virtual learning from their lens. We want to hear it from their own, we want to hear it in their own words. For our staff, we'll be looking at their perception of the student experience, as well as their own experience as employees doing a really hard job right now. What else can we do to support them? We also will share at our November 9th school board meeting the responses to the survey that was administered last week. We had approximately, as you can see, 2,500 survey responses, and there is a different response for each student. So if a person has 4 children, as an example, they would have submitted 4 different responses to the survey. What we know from now at this point is that people who filled out the survey see our virtual learning as being significantly improved from the spring, which is important because we feel it's significantly improved, but if that's not the experience of our families, we need to know that. And that our students are building relationships with at least one adult within their learning environment. And we all know that that is a really critical thing. The next super important piece is winter sports. What's happening with winter sports? So we have 4 different categories to discuss. And the first is, as a school district, we're advocating for our athletes. Our athletic director, Mr. Carr, is one of the 2 athletic directors in Dane County who organized a meeting with public health and have consequently then organized a meeting with all of the athletic directors and representatives from public health to gain clarity on what it is we're able to do within the requirements of the current order. It's also really important that those of you with students who would like to participate in winter sports in grades 7 through 12, that you register for winter sports. 2 important reasons. First, we want to make sure that you're receiving all of the upcoming information and communication from the coaches. And second, we need to know how many students will be participating because we need to be able to divide up our facilities to ensure we have the space, and we're sure we do, for small group practices, because we fully intend to begin practicing for our winter sports along the same timeline that we would normally begin practicing for our winter sports, which is right around mid-November. If you are registered for winter sports, your coaches will be following up with you later next week. And finally, we're continuing to examine all options for play. I also introduced last evening the idea of having a medical review committee. And this is just a draft, what you see on the screen as far as the purpose. And I would be working in partnership with board members Krista Flanagan and Tim LeBrun, and we would be identifying and inviting medical professionals to join us as members of the medical review team. And then we would be firming up the purpose of the team and what we expect them to do as we move forward. And so that would be the end of the presentation as it was on Monday night, October 26th. I hope that this has helped you, and we want to make sure that when you have questions, you are reaching out either to your principal or to me. We are here to help. Thank you.